Hello everyone, this is Fahad again with a video, and this time we are about to talk about the Sri Lankan crisis. As we have got the recent news that the Sri Lanka president has gone to Maldives, the reason behind this is that there is protest in the country everywhere. People have come on the roads and people are protesting for the removal of the president. The reason is that because this is a kingship government. If I explain this concept, so it would be like this, that the kingship government means that one person who is heading the government, if he will step down, then his son will come, then the son of that person, and so on. So this is how the procedure is going on, and people are claiming, people are saying this thing in Sri Lanka, that those persons, this family has been ruling us, and that's the main reason why Sri Lanka has become bankrupt. So let's go for the reason why Sri Lanka has become bankrupt. In my earlier video, if you have not seen it, the last video, I've talked about the foreign reserves. What are the foreign reserves and why do we need it? So I'll explain the concept in a brief manner again, that foreign reserves are the currency, is the foreign currency we require for the purchases. That is, if I give you an example of that, that could be US dollars, because many of the times we use the US dollars outside for the purchases, because in the last video I've explained that the 60% of the dollars which US has printed are circulating in the whole world, and the 40% he has reclaimed on its own. He has got that possession of 40% on its own banks, and the 60% is circulating in the world. So US dollars are needed for the import of, let's suppose, oil, for the import of petrol and other necessities which the country cannot produce. It all depends on the level, on the type of country. As Pakistan is an agricultural country, so Pakistan will not be importing any agricultural product. Okay, so again, there we need foreign reserves in order to purchase the oil and other commodities which are necessary for the country, because we need to survive. These oils and these crude oils and these things are used for the industries, and again, when the industries are working, people are employed over there, people get the salaries, people get the wages, and that's how the economy works. Because one person gets the wages or salaries, that person initiates the purchasing process, and again, because of the purchasing process, there is a circulation of money in the economy. Okay, I hope I'm sound till now and I'm able to explain everything. So these foreign reserves were shortest, and at this time we can say that Sri Lanka only has $50 million in its foreign reserves, that are too low for the country. And maybe it is claimed, some of the newspapers, it is a source, some of the newspapers are claiming that $50 million of foreign reserves means Sri Lanka can buy fuel for maybe 1 day or 2 days maximum, not more than that. And there are people who are in long queue, who are standing outside the petrol pumps, and they are waiting for the for the petrol to be received, and there are many people who are waiting for almost 2 to 3 days, because the line or the queue is so long, so that they don't get the commodity on time. Okay, so the reason behind this is, there are a lot of reasons. Why do we have low foreign reserves? The reason behind this is that we sometimes give subsidies. And what is a subsidy? Again, those people who are watching this video and they are not from the commerce background, so I'll be explaining this subsidy term. The subsidy term means when the government gives you a grant. When a government gives you a grant, it means the government has given you a reduction in the price of something. Okay, like if I give you an example of Pakistan, the PTI government, earlier government, gave you the subsidy on petrol. The petrol prices were very low when there was PTI government, and they have given the subsidy on this. So when the government gives subsidies, the government is using its revenues, using its income which they have generated already. So when they are giving the subsidy on the petrol, so again, I'm not earning that much on petrol, I'm earning less on petrol, and I'm spending more. This is how it sounds. Okay, so if I give you an example of that, if you receive petrol at rupees 250, okay, forget about the currency value, that is rupees. I'm using rupees because again, I'm habitual of using rupees, so forget about that. If I'm getting getting a liter of petrol from the global market at rupees 250, and I'm selling it at 230 rupees, let's suppose, so there is a gap of 20 rupees, and that 20 rupees has to be paid by me, by the government. So again, the government is getting the deficit. The government is spending from its own pocket. This was one of the reasons. The second reason, which many of the people would have learned, which many of the people would have known is the Chinese CPAC. CPAC again is in Pakistan because the P represents Pakistan, but again, I'm talking about the Chinese vision behind this program, because these programs have been launched in many of the countries. So the reason or the vision behind this is that China wants to improve its economy with the passage of time, because again there are two blocks. If China doesn't improve its economy, then US might grow better in terms of economy, and again it is better at this time. So China wants its economy to get bigger than US by 2050, okay, or maybe by 2030. It depends on the plan where they are doing these things. So what they are doing, they are giving loans to those countries which are developing countries. They are giving loans to developing countries, and what happens by giving loans, those developing countries take the loan from Chinese government because they know because they are in trouble. Like we can give an example of this Sri Lanka, and the reason behind that is that Sri Lanka is taking loan from Chinese government because they are in a bad position, because they want some amount of money so that their economy can be run better. So they have taken some loans, but again China is a wise player. It's a very what I can say, it has a very strategic vision uh, in its local area where there are developing countries. So what they do, they give the loans are given in terms of certain facilities, okay. Loans are given in terms of certain facility. It's like that you have given a loan to your friend and you are asking some favors from your friend. So again, obviously if you are giving a loan, your friend would be willing to give you some favors because of taking the loans. So those facilities or the favors which I can name is of hospitals, but mainly it is of the ports. China takes the ports. There's a port which is named as Hembonto. If excuse me if I'm not taking the name right. There's a port which is very important in terms of trade. That port has been built by China by putting its amount of money in that port, and again the port has been confiscated and the port has been used is now being used by China. There are a lot of facilities. We can name a stadium and these facilities. China always assesses the importance of the area, importance of the facility which has to be taken by the country. So what they do, they give the loan, and again when they are giving the loan, they calculate this thing that this country is suffering from a problem, from a turmoil, from an economic issues. So that's why this country won't be able to repay the loan, and when this country won't be able to repay the loan, the terms are already agreed by the Chinese government that if you people cannot repay the loan, we will take certain facilities from you. Because you cannot repay the loan, you have to give the facilities. So again the government is bound to do that, because China always takes an agreement, because it's about the two countries which are there. So again there would be some agreements between the two countries on a paper, on a piece of paper, and those agreements serve as a guarantee that this thing will be given by this country to the other country. So this has again happened with the Sri Lankan government. And again what is happening is that Sri Lankan government has given some of the important facilities to the Chinese government. And again coming back to that, why it became bankrupt, it has given a lot of subsidies. Corruption was one of the reasons, and inefficiency. Many of the people who are living in Sri Lanka, they are saying that these people who were running the country, they were inefficient. So that's the reason the country has come in these places. There are protests in the country, and there are people who are dying because of, there is a report of UN which has come on 12th of May or 12th of April, I'm not sure about the date, but UN has warned Sri Lanka that there will be food insecurity in the country. People will not be able to get the food because Sri Lankan government has refused to get the fertilizers which were required for the agriculture. Again, if a country is not getting the fertilizer, so the country would not be able to get the good harvest of the foods, okay. But if I compare it with Pakistan, and again the last news which is very much important is that Sri Lankan government has said that we need 18 months at least in order to come at our place. But in between there are protests, because people now want more or another or different phase in terms of the government. People don't want this family to come back again and be corrupt or do the corruption again, okay. So we compare it with the Pakistan situation. Pakistan has got 2.3 billion loan from China, okay. This is from China recently. And why China? Because again when PTI left the country, sorry, not the country, PTI left the government, so now the next government is of PMLN. This is a party which is ruling Pakistan. So this government has claimed that the cash reserves of the country are low. So when the cash reserves are low, so what happens when the cash reserves are low? Again, the same story, that we cannot buy anything from the other countries, we cannot import. So when we cannot import, we need more of the dollars which are needed for the repayment. So we have taken 2.3 billion from China. There's one newspaper, or there is one source which is NDTV source, which is an India's channel. Because why I'm quoting an India's channel for Pakistan news, because the reason is that they try their level best to get the news, get the sources, get the details as far as possible, so that the accurate details can be convinced. But many of the times they try their level best to give their emotions, but many of the times they give the facts. So this report has said that Pakistan is on the path of Sri Lanka. Why? Because they are doing the same actions. They are taking loans from China, and this is the main reason. There is a policy which is termed as China debt trap policy, and this policy is not being accepted uh, by the person who has been, by the ambassador who has been there in Sri Lanka. There have been news channels who have taken the interview, and they have discussed this Chinese debt trap policy with them, and they are saying that there is no things as such, and this is what people think. We are not on this path, but again, practically this is happening. China is trying their level best to take many of the countries who have geostrategic position, because they want their trade to extend, to make money from their trade. Again, Pakistan is on the same track. The reason is that because Pakistan is taking loans from China. China is a good friend, but again, after giving loans, they try their level best to get the security, and when they ask for the security, it is very costly for developing countries. We have taken a loan from IMF, and again, the loan taken from IMF is again a burden on the economy, and when there is a burden on the economy, it keeps on increasing. What happens when IMF is trying its level best to give the loan? Again, Sri Lanka has asked for 3 billion of loan from IMF. So why people go to IMF, not other sources, other ways? Because there are a lot of ways, there are a lot of institutions where we can go. See, whenever a country is given loan by IMF, there is a guarantee by the IMF that this country is sound and stable, in such a sense that this country will be able to repay the loan when the loan will be asked from this country. So this gives the guarantee to the other sources, other institutions, that IMF has given a loan, so it means this country is able to repay the loan. Okay, so that's the reason countries go to IMF. And again, Sri Lanka is also confident about the growing economic situation, and they are saying that they will be stable within 18 months. So let's see what the situation remains, and I hope this video would be understood well understood, and liked by you people. If there is any question, you can comment below. Those people who are coming on the video and not subscribing, do subscribe it. If you like, if you want more of the videos, do comment below. Like, share, comment and subscribe, and share it with those who need this information, and subscribe. Okay, so I'll take a leave over here, and in the next video we'll discuss another important topic. So stay tuned.